Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective.
This is my video update on this Saturday afternoon, June the 14th, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the Iranian retaliation into Israel. Hundreds of missiles yesterday evening launched into Israel, focused on Tel Aviv, according to Iranian military officials, focused on military targets, military targets and nuclear facilities. That is what Iran said they were focusing on. Apartment buildings and residential areas, at least from the photos that we've been getting, from the videos and photos we've been getting, were hit. The facilities, many of the facilities, for example, the Ministry of Defense, the equivalent to the U.S. Pentagon for Israel. I believe the building's called the Kiria. That was hit. That was targeted, and that was hit. And these buildings are in Tel Aviv, in the city. So whether you have the missiles hitting these populated areas or the interceptors falling down on buildings, there were many people who were injured. And there were civilian structures that were damaged from this missile strike. But the Israeli Defense Forces, they claim that Iran only launched 100 missiles into Israel yesterday. Iranian sources and most of the media, I would say, is saying that Iran launched a lot more than 100 missiles. I've seen numbers of around 200 to 300 missiles, maybe more, were launched into Israel. And the Iron Dome, it couldn't handle all of the missiles that were hitting Tel Aviv. So the missiles that were hit by the Iron Dome, that were intercepted and taken out by the Iron Dome, well, eventually other missiles, the faster missiles, were sent in, and the Iron Dome couldn't do anything, and they were hitting their targets. So that was the Iranian retaliation. I was not expecting Iran to retaliate so quickly. I thought they were going to wait a couple of days, but they retaliated immediately, and boy, did they retaliate hard. The videos that I've seen, which are not fake, because there are a lot of fake videos on the interwebs, a lot of fake videos. Some of the videos that claim to be from Tel Aviv are actually from Ukraine, from the Russian military hitting Kiev or hitting Odessa or these types of cities, and they're being passed off as Iranian missiles hitting Tel Aviv. But Community Notes on X is actually doing a good job of spotting the fake videos. But there's a lot of real videos, confirmed real videos, and it looks like Iran did a lot of damage. At least that's how it looks from what we're seeing on the interwebs. But still a lot of fog of war, so keep that in mind. A lot of fog of war on both sides. We're only 2 days into this. And hopefully, that's all there's going to be. Hopefully, we get to a sort of off-ramp. I seriously doubt it. I'm sure you seriously doubt it as well. I imagine Israel's going to retaliate to the Iranian retaliation, and then Iran's going to retaliate to the Israeli retaliation. But things are getting dangerous, and the best outcome would be an off-ramp. But I don't think we're going to get it. And Netanyahu, he said in his statement the other day that this regime change operation, and that's what it is, could last 2 weeks to a couple of months. He did say this was going to be a long campaign. Iran The Iran military, one second here, they said that they're going to launch about 2,000 missiles towards Israel in the next attacks. 2,000 missiles is what they're saying they're going to launch into Israel. And Iran also said that if the United States gets involved, then they're going to target U.S. military assets. Actually, they said that if any country, whatever country gets involved to help Israel, then they're going to hit the military assets in the region of said country. The United States is basically what they're saying. And we know that the United States is already involved because the United States was helping Israel to knock down the missiles from yesterday. And so the U.S. is involved, but the U.S. is trying to make it as if they're not overtly involved. They're more covertly involved, right? And the risk is that the U.S. is just going to openly get involved in the conflict. Trump is just going to say, "Okay, we're going to get involved in this war." That's the risk. He's going to tell the American people, "We're in this war now." So maybe this is Iran's way of saying, "Don't think about it." What else did the Iranian military say? Iran, through a senior official, told CNN it will target the regional bases of any country defending Israel. Okay, there are rumors that Pakistan, and these are just rumors, I don't know how believable this is, but Pakistan is saying that they're going to help Iran out, and they're going to send fighter jets to side with Iran. But I would say this is a rumor for the time being. But you can see how dangerous this situation is and how this war can expand. It could become a very, very dangerous, very destructive regional war. And the part that worries me the most is that we don't have a rational, pragmatic leader like Putin who can show restraint, who shows lots of patience and lots of restraint, maybe too much patience and restraint, but still, you don't have that dynamic. And of course, you are talking about nuclear weapons. Israel has nuclear weapons, and if things got really, really bad, really tough, who knows? They could use them. So it's a very, very dangerous situation. What's playing out in the Middle East right now? The New York Times put out an article with the title, "Much of Iran's nuclear program remains after Israel strikes, at least for now." The New York Times, in this article, they basically said that Israel didn't do much damage the first time around, at least to the facilities. On the first strike, they got a lot of military officials and scientists. It was a successful decapitation strike. But as far as facilities go, the New York Times claims that it was not successful, or it wasn't as successful as the IDF is making it out to be. But talking about the nuclear facilities, the nuclear program, this is very concerning. We are getting news that the facilities in Natanz, Iran, according to IAEA Chief Grossi, that they are detecting radiological and chemical contamination. They're leaking, and they need to be cleaned up, according to the IAEA. So Natanz was damaged, according to Grossi, to the point where you are getting traces of chemical and radiological contamination. I imagine Iran reported this to Grossi. That's probably how how he knows about this. So there are also rumors, lots of fog of war. There are also rumors, and this sounds, I don't want to say credible. Let's just say these are rumors. These are rumors, and it is coming from Iran, and I believe it's coming from the Iranian military that, Iran officially announced that it was able to shoot down 2 fifth-generation F-35 aircraft while repelling the Israeli attack. One pilot was captured. News came in that 2 F-16s were also down. I've seen a lot of photos on social media claiming that that F-35s were shot down or parts of the F-35. They were showing images of parts of the F-35, but all those photos were also bogus, fake photos. This is coming from official Iranian sources, but I don't know. I don't know if this is believable. They claim they got 2 F-35s. That would be the first time that a country has shot down 2 fifth-generation F-35 stealth fighter jets, if this is true. And Iranian media is announcing the capture of an Israeli pilot. We'll see. Let's give this story a couple of days and see if it pans out. If it is true, man, I'm low energy today. It is hot. My God, it is so hot. All right, so let's move on. Let's continue. How about Trump and his involvement in this war? All of the messages that are coming out of the Trump camp and the Trump White House and Trump-friendly media, Fox News. Trump-friendly media, Trump-friendly mainstream media is Fox News. Neocon-friendly mainstream media, Fox News. They are saying that the U.S. may have to get involved. We are essentially at war with Iran already. So they're running all kinds of shows. They're having all kinds of experts and guests who are saying, who are conditioning the American public. That's what's going on. They are conditioning. They are manufacturing consent. Would that be the right word? They're playing tricks on your mind. And they're trying to make it out as if we're already at war. So let's just go to war, right? That's the message that Fox News is putting out there. My God. So dangerous, man. ABC News reports that the U.S. provided Israel with exquisite intelligence to help with strikes on Iran. ABC News, exquisite intelligence. Interesting use of words there. Israeli officials say Trump approved the Iran attack. We had a clear U.S. green light, adding reports of Trump restraining Israel were planted to deceive, while Trump and Netanyahu coordinated the attack in private, according to Axios. So we have this very, very big narrative that is playing out right now, started by the Trump White House, picked up by the collective West media. ABC reported on this. Axios reported on this. Israeli media, the Times of Israel, they reported on this. They had an article with the title, How an Israeli-American Deception Campaign Lulled Iran into a False Sense of Security. So the narrative is that Trump was telling Iran that they're going to negotiate a deal, and the United States wants a deal, and Iran got a false sense of security, thinking that a deal was coming. But what Trump was really doing is he was working with Netanyahu, and all of the fighting between Trump and Netanyahu was also just acting. And what was really going on is that Trump was coordinating with Netanyahu, and Iran was putting down its guard, thinking that it's going to get a diplomatic solution to this. And Trump and Netanyahu were scheming and plotting all along to launch this strike and to smash Iran and to get regime change. That's the narrative that they're going with, and the White House is saying that that's what happened. I believe the White House has said this from Big Search. The White House claiming that negotiations were a ruse to get Iran to drop its guard could imply two things, neither of them good. Number one, America's credibility as a negotiating party is null and void. Number two, Trump is lying because the Israelis really did act without his approval, and he wants to seem like he's in control of the situation. Take your pick. Both are quite bad. I was thinking the same thing, Big Search. I was thinking the same thing. And you know what else, Big Search? Does this not remind you of the airfield attack into Russia? Same thing, same playbook, same exact playbook. You get the airfields in Russia, they're hit. Russia's nuclear triad is targeted, and some of it is hit. And what does Trump say? Trump said, I had nothing to do with it. So you had two options. There you had two options. Either Trump knew, he knew about the 18 months of planning, which is the most likely option, or he knew nothing about 18 months of planning, which is very, 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 very hard to believe. In this instance, you have the Israel attack into Iran. This was some 5D chess ruse that was going on. Is that the right word? A ruse? A ruse? A 5D chess ruse. Yeah, it was all this acting and theater that was being played, deception, James Bond-like deception. And what was really going on as Iran was lowering its guard was that they were planning this big hit. So this is Trump completely outsmarting Iran. Both conflicts, when you think about Ukraine and you think about this war, they really are similar from the standpoint that they were so avoidable. These conflicts are so avoidable. These wars are so freaking avoidable. Think about it. Ukraine, all the U.S. had to do, all they had to do was tell Ukraine to say they're not getting into NATO, to put it in their constitution, to put together some sort of treaty or document, just enshrine it. Enshrine it for the next 500 years. Ukraine is never getting into NATO. That's simple. That easy. And in this instance, the only thing they needed to do was to move forward with the JCPOA, the new terms of the JCPOA, because that's essentially what the deal was. It's the JCPOA without the time limit, because the JCPOA had a 10-year term. The New Deal was no time limit, and Russia pretty much safeguarding everything, making sure Iran is not enriching uranium, and it's using it for civilian nuclear power plant projects, stuff like that. Both conflicts were so easy to avoid, man. A good negotiator would have knocked both of these out of the park. A good negotiator. Trump is obviously not a good negotiator. He's playing games. He's playing all kinds of games, and that's making him and the United States look really bad. I mean, we're getting reports now from Politico, which claim that Trump now wants Iran to come back to the negotiations. It's no joke. No freaking joke. Politico is reporting that a senior administration official told them that Trump is appealing for diplomacy with Iran and sending a message to Israel to hold off on further attacks, saying to Iran, now you have a second chance. It's a direct push to Israel to wait. Trump also called the Emir of Qatar and stated that Washington is ready to make efforts to achieve peace in the Middle East, the Emir's office announced. How are you going to take him seriously? How do you take anything that his administration says now seriously if you're Iran? If you're Russia, if you're any country in the world, how do you take anything that they say seriously? Either you're clueless on everything, so there's no need to take your statements seriously because you have no idea what's going on, or option number two is that you know exactly what's going on and you're constantly scheming things. You're scheming Operation Spiderwebs, and you're scheming how to fool Iran and to get Iran to drop its guard so you can attack them. Which one is it? I don't buy that Iran, and I think the narrative just doesn't sit well with me. This narrative that Iran dropped their guard. I don't think so. Actually, I'm very, very confident that that's not what happened. I think Iran just absorbed the strike. I imagine that Iran, as in the case with Russia, they're saying, yes, we're going to negotiate. We've had 6 rounds of talks. We're going to negotiate because you have to. You have to always try to take the diplomatic route, right? Which is what Russia's doing, which is what Iran did. You never close that door. But there's no doubt that Iran said, okay, foreign ministry, negotiate. Let's hope that these guys are serious and they want peace and we avoid a conflict. But of course, your military is preparing. I don't think they were lulled into anything. That sounds, that part of the story really does sound like it's spin. It's spin to make it look like Trump completely outsmarted them. Trump and Netanyahu completely outsmarted them with this trick. I just think Iran just absorbed the attack. They knew it was coming. They had an idea it was coming, and they absorbed it as best they could. A lot of damage was done, especially on the decapitation. Maybe they didn't expect the decapitation. They definitely did not expect the decapitation strikes, even though we said that there's going to be decapitation strikes. Remember, Alexander, he said 2 days ago, he said there's going to be decapitation strikes. That's what's going to happen. And he was right about that. But the military targets, it looks like not as much damage was done as we initially thought. They absorbed it and then they hit back. That's how it looks like to me, but okay. Lots of fog of war still. So Politico is not hiding the fact that this is all about a regime change. They put out an article with the title, "What's Israel's Endgame?" And Politico says this in the first freaking paragraph. This is what Politico writes. Israel's attack on Iran will no doubt set back Tehran's nuclear ambitions. But among many Middle East obsessives, there's a growing sense that the Israeli operation has the potential to lead to something much bigger, toppling Iran's Islamist government. Yeah, I'll say it, regime change. Listen to that, huh? Politico. Yeah, I'll say it. That's the tough guy ballsy attitude, right? Yeah, I'll say it. It's all about regime change. You know what this is? It's it's an admission. It's an admission from the United States, from the Trump administration, from the mainstream media, from the neocons, whatever. It's an admission saying, yeah, you know, we're not really doing this for nuclear weapons. Iran can't get a nuke or anything like that. Yeah, I'll say it. It's about regime change. We're tired of lying. Let's just say it. It's all about regime change. Politico. How about that? And yesterday I said that most likely what Israel's going to do after the the taking out of top military officials and nuclear scientists, is that they're going to go for the top political leadership. They're looking for the knockout, man. That's how they fight wars. That's how the U.S. Collective West, that's how they fight wars. Shock and awe, right? Russia's a whole different. Russia's attrition. They're shock and awe. And so what's the shock and awe? If you want regime change, what do? You go after the leadership, the political leadership. You knock it out. And we're getting reports, once again, from the New York Times. Let me get this post. From the Spectator Index, breaking, the New York Times reports that Israel has struck neighborhoods where the supreme leader lives and near the presidential complex. They went after the supreme leader and they went after the president. Obvious. If you want to get a quick win, you go for the knockout. You try to take out the political leadership. It's crazy, man. That's crazy. Think about Ukraine. We're 4 years into Ukraine, going on 4 years in the conflict in Ukraine, and has Russia made any move towards the political leadership? Ukraine has gone after the generals. You see how Ukraine's fighting the war? They're going after the generals. They're launching these terrorist attacks. They're going after journalists and bloggers inside of Russia. But Russia hasn't touched any of the political leadership, any of the intel chiefs. And here you have the knockout blow. That's what they were going for. Mike Pompeo, he was on, I think this was Fox News, and he said, the former CIA director, he said there may be an event somewhere in the world, adding that Iranians have a great cyber program and the IRGC has planted little terror cells all across the globe. Mike Pompeo is talking about a false flag. He's saying if everything fails, if we can't get the U.S. into this war fully committed, the full force of the United States into this war, so that we can try to regime change Iran, then if that fails, we're going to have to resort to a false flag. That's the admission coming from Pompeo. Tucker Carlson, he put out an interesting post on X. He said the real divide isn't between people who support Israel and people who support Iran or the Palestinians. The real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it, between warmongers and peacemakers. Who are the warmongers? They would include anyone who's calling Donald Trump today to demand airstrikes and other direct U.S. military involvement in a war with Iran. On that list, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Rupert Murdoch, Ike Perlmutter, and Miriam Adelson. At some point, they will all have to answer for this, but you should know their names now. Tucker Carlson is trying his best to convince the Trump administration to not fall for this and to not go to war with Iran. He's trying his best, but he's failing. You got to try, Tucker. You're a huge influential voice, but I don't know how Trump gets out of this mess. I don't even know if he wants to get out of this mess. I don't even think he knows how big of a mess he's in. He probably doesn't even know how big of a mess he's in. Like we said on the Duran, Trump thinks he's getting leverage out of all of this. What a dumb thing to think, man. Who's telling him this stuff? How is he coming out with these beliefs? He's getting leverage out of this as he negotiates. Really, is that how you gain leverage in diplomacy? But that's what he actually believes, that he's gaining leverage. Now I've got leverage, and I'm going to give them a second chance for them to come to the table and to agree to the deal that they said they will not agree to. Because the deal that they will not agree to says that they can have no No uranium, none at all, not even for civilian purposes. And Iran is saying, what are you talking about? We're a sovereign nation. Of course we can have uranium so that we can build power plants. And I read an interesting article which talked about how if working with Russia, if they do get a civilian nuclear energy program going in Iran, man, I was reading an article which said that Iran can power up a lot of countries in the region. They can provide power to so many countries in the region. It'll be a game changer. It will be a game changer, especially if they partner up with Russia, Russia's the specialists in this. Anyway, how are we doing on time? All right, I'm doing all right. Okay, low energy Saturday. You know, as all of this is going on in the Middle East, as the United States is bogged down in Ukraine, as they're bogged down now they're bogged down in this conflict with Iran, trying to figure things out with China. Trump's entire America First agenda is crumbling or will crumble if he gets very much involved with Iran. His America First agenda will crumble. His presidency is done, finito. He's a lame duck. As all of this is happening in the United States, what's going on with the multipolar world? Well, BRICS has a new partner, and that partner is Vietnam. From S.L. Kempfin, BRICS expansion continues. Vietnam has joined BRICS as a partner country. Who needs American chaos and wars? Developing countries are focused on peace and economic growth. You know what else happened a couple of days ago that no one's talking about? China had an event, a summit for all of the African countries, like pretty much all of them. And they signed a communique and a declaration, and all of the countries in Africa, they basically said that we're ready to do business with China, and we're ready to enter the multipolar world. We're ready to be an active part of multipolarity. A huge win for China that no one's talking about. Telling you, the Trump administration, the U.S. they're just dropping the ball big time. Big time. So you're going to have today, I believe, June 14th, you're going to have these ICE protests all across the U.S. So that's going to take place today in over 1,000 cities. I believe this event, these protests across the United States are called the Democrat No Kings Day of Rage. Is that true? The Democrats No Kings Day of Rage. I don't know. I'm reading here 200 plus events. I read somewhere it's going to be the protests and the marches against ICE and deportation, against Trump. Trump is the king, right, I guess. It's going to take place in over 1,000 cities. Should we do a clown world? Wrap this video up so I can get a coffee, get into some air-conditioned room or something. Oh, man. Clown world. Lindsey Graham, the foreign policy president of the United States, decided to make a statement. And the foreign policy president of the United States, Lindsey Graham, he posted on X, Putin's Russia giving legal advice on use of force is a bit rich for the Russians. Israel is defending its very existence. Russia is engaging in a barbaric invasion of its neighbor. To China and India, if you continue to prop up Putin's war machine, you'll have nobody to blame but yourself. Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, you're the best thing to ever happen to multipolarity. You really are. You really are the best thing to ever happen to multipolarity. You're making it so easy to build a multipolar world. So Lindsey Graham is not only talking about taking on Russia, not only talking about taking on Iran, but he's talking about taking on China. And not only China, everyone watching in India, Lindsey Graham is coming for you. He's sending you a warning, India. Don't you dare trade with Russia. Don't trade with any country that I don't tell you to trade with. Unbelievable stuff, man. This guy. Unbelievable. Putin had a phone call with Netanyahu and with Pezeshkian, the Iranian president. Putin engaging in diplomacy. Putin can have a call with Netanyahu and Pezeshkian. Trump can't. Trump can have a phone call with Netanyahu and they can scheme little games, but he can't have a call with the Iranian leader. He could if he wanted to, but he doesn't have the cojones to do it, or the neocons will not let him do it. Putin can. And what did Putin say? He sent his condolences to Iran for the casualties, the lives lost from the strike into Iran, and then he spoke with Netanyahu, and then of course they discussed what's happening, obviously, and then he spoke with Netanyahu. They discussed what's going on, and he told Netanyahu, according to the readout, that Russia's ready to mediate. He called for de-escalation to both leaders. He said it's time to de-escalate. It's time to use diplomacy, and he's ready to mediate between both sides. Putin, man, it's a leader. I think that's it for the video. I think that's it. Here's a post on X. Iran just hit the U.S. embassy. Hit in Tel Aviv. Iran just hit the U.S. embassy hit in Tel Aviv. Okay. This means we now have a reason to respond. Yeah, but the U.S. embassy is in Jerusalem. And that's what this community note says. The U.S. embassy moved to Jerusalem. It's amazing that you have people who are actually trying to push for more escalation. People actually get their kick, their thrills from trying to escalate, trying to get more war. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update. There's a link in the description box down below. Take care.